Guys, she is done. It took a while to get them in there. I had a few issues at the house. My AC unit went out, so I had to go and replace that, which absolutely sucked. But that's life. That's home ownership, and I'm sure we all have to deal with it. But it is finally done. And as much as I'd love to let the birds out on a day like today, they're still a little freaked out with the floors. It's all brand new to them, so half of them don't even want to land on the floor. They just fly from perch to perch. So I know if I let them out now, it's going to be a nightmare to try to get them back in. And I don't want to run the risk of having birds out overnight. I do darken them, but obviously that would be more of an inconvenience than any risk for me. Like I said, I don't want them to get stuck out overnight. And I wanted to make a quick video showing you guys how it turned out before it all gets crapped on. In my opinion, I think it turned out beautifully. There's a lot of unforeseen changes or modifications, I mean to say. One being this door. I really wasn't sure of what to do with the door. Obviously the door swang in, and because the hallway now is lifted, at first I thought, well, maybe I'll just trim the bottom of the door enough. And then I said, well, then I'd have to patch something in there and it's going to look kind of weird. And then I came out with the idea of just opening the door outwards instead of inwards, which came out really nice actually. But the only concern I have is now that the hinges are on the outside. It's not going to take much for somebody to come and zip those off. And despite whether I lock the door or not, they can still get in there. Is it really a big fear? I mean, I grew up in Southwest Detroit, guys. We locked up everything. I once had a guard dog and they stole my dog. So just, unfortunately that's embedded in my head now. I have to lock everything up, even though I live in a much nicer neighborhood now without any fear of any of that. But let's not get off topic, guys. I think she came out absolutely beautiful. It is a pure joy to be in here now. Obviously it's clean, so that's the nicest part of it. As you can see, the floors in the hallway are raised on 2x4s. I didn't want to go any higher because we're limited to about 6 feet 3 inches or 6 feet 2 inches in there. I'm 5'10", so I'm comfortable. But if anybody in the 6-foot range comes to visit, I don't want to run the risk of them bumping their heads or scraping it against the top, all that mess up there. So honestly, I just left it on 2x4s. As for the center sections, or for the 2 sections, I went ahead and put them on 2x6s. I could have gone a little bit higher, but I didn't want to run the risk of again having a huge step to get up onto, and I think it's plenty. I'm still going to clean it once a month, so there's really no need to go any higher other than maybe the height to keep the dust and stuff down. But you can see we're in here. I just finished them maybe 10-15 minutes ago, and everything is starting to settle beautifully. Like I said, the hallways are on 2x4s. I did use a center beam or a center support because this is going to be a high traffic area as I go to my breeders, so I wanted to have a little extra support. And for the 2 sections, I simply use that free floating square. It is 16 inches on center all the way around, so it ended up being beautiful. It's, again, I love it. At this point, I really do understand what Small Loft Pigeon Racing was talking about with his graded floors. They are a pleasure to be in here now. No more worry about droppings on my feet. No more worry about the dust getting kicked up. Again, once everything settles, I think it's going to turn out beautifully, or at least I think it's going to end up being a positive. Like I said, as long as you guys got the time for it, maybe a weekend to dedicate to making the floors, it'll go a long way. I absolutely love it. I'm going to convert the breeding section when I build the boxes the same way. I'm going to do the hens coop the same way. I was, like I said, lucky enough I made the ceiling height a lot higher than I normally would have. I don't like birds above me, but for some reason when I built the loft, I didn't realize, I thought in my head I needed a more aggressive slope, so I think I went 6.5 back here and 8.5 up front. And it ended up working out great now. Like I said, I can even go on 2x8s and still have plenty of space without any issue whatsoever. I mean, a couple more inches isn't going to bother me. And I may, in the future, I may do it. The 2 sections here, the main frame isn't even screwed in. It's just held under its own tension. I made them within as tight as possible. I had to hammer them in, so now they're just held on their own tension. Had I screwed the corners together, I wouldn't be able to get the square in here. Everything would be so tight I'd have to remove the perches. So to make my life a lot easier, I just cut the pieces as tight as I could get them. I fitted them beautifully. Everything's under nice tension. Both sides kind of work against each other, hold each other up, and it's fine. Anywhere you walk, it doesn't feel spongy. It doesn't feel bouncy. I mean, I love it. I don't know how much more I can talk about it. It did come out beautiful. Like I said, I did use that safety Zorb. Let me show you guys that before I forget. Man, I'm having a hard time remembering that the door swings out, so I constantly pull on it. And of course, now I got to back up and grab the door. This is what I used. As I said, it's all 100% Fuller's Earth safety Zorb. I got it from Tractor Supply. A good buddy of mine put me on it. You know, again, the birds can't reach us, so I'm not too concerned about them eating it or anything like that. And there's absolutely, once you pour it down, there's a little bit of dust that kicks up, but once that settles, there's no dust at all. It's basically clay. But as you guys can see, I think it turned out beautiful. Guys, it's worth the investment. It's worth the time. Even myself, I was under them. You know, the whole deep litter method is much better for the birds. And again, it probably is. But I no longer have the time. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I work full-time. I have a full-time family, a growing family. So, I mean, I'm going to make it as easy for myself as possible. The birds are still on their perches. They still come in contact with the dropping. So it's not, you know what I mean? I think, again, even for myself, a long time I thought, well, I'm going to keep them on a deep litter method, you know, of flooring, and that'll keep them. And it's whatever, guys. It's your choice. But if you ask me my opinion, this is the way to go. Regardless if you build your own, if you buy them, that's whatever, you know, whatever's easier for you guys. If you guys don't have the building ability, go ahead and purchase them. That's fine. As long as you get them off the ground, I think it's going to go a long way. I love it. If you guys look throughout the world, you know, the top lofts across the world all are on raised floors. I mean, that's got to say something. Whether it's going to improve my performance, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is I love being in here now versus, you know, when there's ankle high of droppings and I have to worry about where I'm stepping. So, guys, this is all I got for you. What's next is going to be the breeder section. I'm going to redo those boxes like I said. I'm going to do a floor just like this, and in the hens coop, I'm going to do a floor just like this as well. No going back at this point, to be honest with you. I just like it too much. I know I'm a little overzealous about it, but I absolutely love it. It feels great. It's a little bit higher, so I think the perception is a little bit different, but I love it. Guys, do it. It's worth it. I'll see you in the next one.